Hey guys, welcome back. It's your boy Kino and Scott. Today we're going to be talking about all kinds of shit, movie news, maybe a few movies we've been watching,
Yeah.
whatever.
Movie news, the summer. We got about a month left. It's been a
Yeah.
weird year, couple years for movies. Is cinema dying? Probably. We're going to talk about upcoming releases. We're going to talk about Space Jam: A New Legacy. We're going to talk
Movie of
about
the year.
Adrian Stimpin for his girlfriend showing her the MCU.
Now,
Uh,
you were talking about cinema dying. Here's an interesting trend that I've noticed happening this summer, and it's that movies like movies that Warner Bros has released and Disney, but like the ones that Warner Bros has released and then put them out same day on HBO Max, they will have a great first weekend and then drop off really hard in the second weekend, unlike people have ever seen. And people are blaming it on having it available on streaming. And same for Black Widow, very strong first weekend and then dropped off. And so I really think that it isn't just one film that this is happening to, since it's happening to a lot of these films this summer, that these big studios are going to be like, okay, we tried the streaming at the same time, it's losing us money, let's go back to only in theaters.
right, because I mean, movies they've always been, of course, opening weekend has been most important, but that's become increasingly important. And also something some viewers may not know: the studios, I believe, especially Disney, they're Nazis about it. Demand a bigger take the first weekend of box office receipts than of subsequent weekends. But this is pissing theaters off and hurting relations with theaters, which Disney has already done by demanding like 90% box office, like ridiculous things, certain amount of showings for their movies that some smaller theaters can't deal with. Uh, so we'll see this experiment. I wonder. I do wonder how would this experiment have happened if they had just tried it, let's say 2 years from now, and there was no pandemic.
Yeah,
That
it's
makes
a
you
good
think.
question.
Because obviously what's happening with some of these movies is something like Black Widow. You're going to have your Marvel fanatics who, and let's be honest, like who is super excited for a Black Widow prequel movie. I know you love Florence Pugh.
I enjoyed the movie.
You enjoyed
um
it.
yeah.
I'm tapped out on superhero stuff, but it is one of those things. You have that post in game fatigue, and how much.
Honestly, this it sucks to say, but the pandemic was the best thing for the MCU because it forced them to have everyone take a break for a year and a little bit longer than that. And so it worked for me. I was like, fuck Marvel movies. I'm sick of this shit. And look at me now, back in it. That's
Back
because
in it.
they knew exactly what to do right after Endgame to refresh everything. So,
They
I'm
know
in
what
on
I
it.
mean. They know what they're doing. I'm not
It's
gonna lie. Favreau and Feige, Kevin Feige, however you say his name.
yeah. It was obviously Black Widow should have came out when the movie set, which is after Civil War. But obviously, some I don't know why it didn't come out, but it was nice to have. It was perfect for this movie season. I feel like while everyone's getting back on their feet again. So, but also, it's not Iron Man. It's not Captain America. So a lot of people are
Yeah, she doesn't even have
probably
superpowers.
fine to check it out on Disney Plus.
Really, you would say that it's
No,
not
I'm saying
necessary.
a lot of people, some people aren't comfortable with going back to the theater yet, which is part of it, but also some people aren't as, yeah, they're not gonna
They just
get
want to watch
everything.
stuff at
Yeah, they
home
just
if
want to
they
watch
can.
it. Yeah.
And it's
So I
especially
get
yeah,
it.
if it's not Iron Man. What was the tone of this? Was it the tone? Was it kind of like Winter Soldier, where it's a pseudo political thriller?
Um,
And I have
yeah,
not not been
it's more like, yeah, it's espionage, quite serious. Like tone's a little harder, darker than a lot of the other MCUs. Like it has to do with like child trafficking and stuff.
Ooh, edgy, really?
Yeah.
Damn.
And like, yeah. And so,
Good
you
thing it's
know,
not man-child trafficking or trigger half its audience.
but yeah, no, it's just like a lot of these mainly Warner Bros. Because like there's still a paywall with Disney. You know, you have to pay $30 to rent Black Widow, you know, but HBO Max, it's, you know, you can just watch it if you have a subscription.
Right, because they have fewer subscribers, so they're basically more desperate. And Disney is way too
Yeah.
far. $30 to rent a movie. I guess they assume
A
you
family.
got at least 4 people in the household. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But that's insane. And also, that's something we shouldn't normalize. I feel like you shouldn't
No.
normalize if you have a streaming service, you shouldn't normalize having to pay for so-called
That's why I think
content.
this is only in a little COVID bubble and will not work outside of it.
No.
So
No.
hopefully
And there's
that's on
so
the
many
way out.
other options.
Like the thought of people watching Dune for the first time on their iPads fucking makes me go full David
That bugs
Lynch.
me because that's one of my, as somebody who read the book or the first book at least when
Yeah.
he was 15.
Yeah.
Which I like the book. I don't love it. I don't worship it like some science fiction fans
Yeah,
do.
sure.
It's one of those books. I describe it as I enjoy having read it more than I enjoyed the actual process of reading it, if that makes sense. Like I'm really
Sure.
glad I read it. Story is really good in its complexity, and the world building is, you know, revolutionary. I mean,
Yeah.
literally the genre. It's often compared to Lord of the Rings. I mean, for good reason in science fiction in terms of how much world building it gets done. But man, it's dry at points, and that's not a pun because it's a desert planet. But the story can be as dry as Arrakis sometimes.
Here's something interesting I saw is that Hans Zimmer's doing the music for Dune, but he's also doing a soundtrack for the movie, but he's also composed a soundtrack to listen to while reading the book. So that's interesting.
That's weird.
That's cool.
I've never listened to music while I've read a book, though.
Well, it's to accompany the book. I thought that was cool.
That's a cool idea, but
I wouldn't listen to music with lyrics while reading. That would be complicated. But I could listen.
I don't know. Maybe I'm weird. I don't really like listening to music while I do stuff, though. A lot.
I don't listen to music when I read. But like it's not out of the question. I don't know. Put on like some like nice like, you know, classical or orchestral. You know,
orchestral Gregorian chants.
I just thought that was interesting. Yeah, Dune's gonna be like
I hope it's good.
It's gonna be an opening nighter for sure. I think Casher is even gonna come down for it.
That's cool. I hope it's good, and I hope general audiences get it or get to it.
Yeah, at least go see it so they make the second part.
That'd be cool because I'm not gonna read the second book. I'll be honest.
No, I think this is like a part 1, part 2 thing.
Oh yeah,
for the first book.
And the book is actually, without going into spoiler territory from a science fiction novel from the 60s, the book it kind of has 2 acts like that. I mean, there's not 2 acts exactly, but there's definitely 2 parts of the book. Let's just
That's funny. I've seen David Lynch's version. I can't even tell you how it ends, so I don't even remember. So
oh yeah, I forgot you saw David Lynch's version. Well, you know, there's a time jump in the book, and I wonder how they're going to handle that in the movies, especially when you're having, what's his name, Timothy Chalamet, play Paul Atreides, but Paul Atreides ages from like 15 to 20 in the span of that book. There's a time jump.
He can look both 15 and 20. So
that's the thing. He's such a Schrodinger's age sort of thing. That guy. Like, is he 15? Is he 20? Is he 30? I can't tell.
I saw some people complaining that the color palette wasn't vibrant enough for their taste, but you know, I guess
I kind of wonder about that too. But also, you don't know that entirely. And there's scenes in that book. First of all, it's not Arrakis is not a colorful planet, but also I think there's we haven't seen a ton. We've seen some, but we haven't seen a ton of interiors for that.
It's
And I'm
true.
sure there's a lot of interior
It's true.
sets.
That
And
was the
most of the
best
stuff we've seen,
thing. That was the best thing about David Lynch's movies, his interiors and also the practical effects of like a lot of these like weird creatures.
yeah. So we haven't seen a lot of that.
I
We've
haven't
seen them
seen any
walking in
like
the desert.
creatures other than like the giant fucking worm from SpongeBob, you know.
Yeah, but well, really, there's not a lot of animals on that planet in the book. At least there aren't creatures or
It was like
other.
well, they weren't like they were sentient, but yeah.
I have not seen the David Lynch version.
I had to watch it in 3 parts because it was so much of a slog.
Okay,
That
you're
movie's
not.
only like 2 hours.
I feel bad. I feel bad for everyone. I feel bad for Lynch. I feel bad for fans. I feel bad for casual moviegoers. Also,
Um,
the idea that I guess he has the Elephant Man, but the idea of Lynch as a studio filmmaker and anybody trying to make him that is
yeah,
laughable in hindsight.
yeah.
It's absolutely ridiculous.
Elephant Man's a pretty good film for like people who can't handle his crazy shit.
Yeah, I saw some of it as I've actually never seen the whole movie. I saw some of it as a kid, but it's like my parents like that movie, and I don't
Yeah,
think my mom would like season 3 of Twin Peaks.
nah, that's
Um,
okay though. Um,
that's fine. I mean, there's parts of season 3 of Twin Peaks that I need to that I'm having trouble watching and I'm just like, oh my god, you're still not talking. you're
Al
still,
McLaughlin does a good job, I'll say, in the Dune movie, but
does
you
he?
know, yeah,
I believe it.
it
I bet he has
stings in that movie.
yes, State from the Police.
Yeah,
Isn't he one
boy.
of the villains?
Yeah,
I hope he's in this one.
I want a Kyle McLaughlin cameo. That's probably not gonna happen either, but you know,
Oh yeah,
whatever.
I love it.
Um,
What's the
yeah,
last movie he's been in? He was in The House with Clocks in Its Walls. He was the villain. He got to
oh,
ham it
yeah,
up in a PG movie.
yeah,
It was fun for what he
yeah.
did.
He's got some shit in development. I haven't seen really what, but
He deserves it. He's Dale freaking Cooper. He is the
right,
FBI.
yeah. So okay, I was talking to Sumner the other day about how cool it is that Robert Eggers' new movie, The Northman, has $110 million budget, which is crazy. Going from The Witch and The Lighthouse to The
I
Northman.
still haven't seen The Lighthouse.
Okay, well, either way, because like that's a big chunk of money. But then
That's a huge.
but then, and Sumner was going on and on about like how cool it's they're giving our house directors this and this and this, and I spoke too soon because then I saw or reportedly that they were doing heavy reshoots and that like because like test audiences were like, oh, it's abysmal, it's too slow, this and that.
I honestly, we just said this with David Lynch. Sometimes I'm like, why? Almost, man, I love Robert Eggers. I still haven't seen The Lighthouse. I feel bad. Like, I think The Witch is really good, but why would you give Robert Eggers $110 million?
I don't know. I mean, to
I
do what he
mean, that's
wants,
like me giving you $110 million. Like, you could make something cool. I don't think audiences would watch it.
Yeah, I would.
I know
I
audiences
can be
wouldn't watch a
socially
movie I made.
acceptable.
Yeah, you could make some
I'd make
coming
an
of age.
adventure movie. I love
Yeah,
adventure movies.
you'd make something. No, that's too. But Robert Eggers, what do you think? It's gonna. I don't know.
I just
Anya Taylor Joy and
sometimes
Robert Pattinson, like
I don't know. Sometimes I mean, normally I'd be, of course, against creative, control getting interrupted like that, but it might be what if it is a slog and they're fixing some shit? Who knows? I don't know.
it could be because sometimes I think studios can give certain directors enough rope to hang themselves with.
Yeah.
The obvious example, of course, being like George Lucas prequels, but even outside of that,
Yeah.
I think sometimes some people might argue that Tarantino's some of his stuff is bloated. I wouldn't necessarily say that. That goes on too long or whatever. I've heard people plebes, not really care for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood that much.
I need to give
That's
that another watch.
that's one of my favorite movies of his.
I only saw it once. Here's the
I only
thing.
saw it once.
Um, it wasn't until I watched Inglourious Basterds the second time to where I was like, "Oh fuck, I love this movie."
Yeah, I need to see it.
So I feel like I should give Once Upon a Time in Hollywood a second shot. It's not like I didn't enjoy it. I'm just saying, um, it's definitely a beautiful love letter to obviously that time period.
I don't know. Also, The Northman is about Icelandic poet and novelist set at the turn of the 10th century, and you gave him $110 million.
It's like a Viking epic.
Yeah. That is true. Vikings. You have that TV show Vikings. It's popular. God of War came out. It was popular. I feel like people have gotten sick of Greek mythology. Now we're kind of going to Norse, and then maybe by the end of this decade we'll be into Egyptian or something else. Which I would be down with. Egyptian mythology is metal as fuck.
Yeah, until it just devolves into ancient aliens.
Oh yeah. Well, that's what they really were, right?
But,
the sun god Ra was just a UFO.
Oh man. Oh yeah, and I also saw another piece of movie news is there was a famous video on YouTube this past year of a guy who took the de-aging from Mandalorian and used his own deep fake on Luke Skywalker.
Kind of froze up on me.
Oh. Well, either way.
The guy who used his own deep fake on Luke Skywalker, and he got hired by Lucasfilm.
Yeah, he got hired by Lucasfilm. So,
and I will say that guy, he's not a hobbyist. He's actually like written academic papers or been an academic paper. He's a guy who's seriously developing the technology. He's not just some YouTuber who like ran an Instagram filter on the scene.
Yeah, exactly. But also, one, it's nice that he got hired, but also worrisome. It's like, why are they, what are they doing? What are they?
Because they want more Carrie Fisher. They want, dude, can you imagine just for a second, Alec Guinness, how much he would be rolling in his grave if they were like, hey, those movies you got tired of talking about and almost didn't star in the sequel, like come back for the sequels. We had to like drag you to set. We resurrected your dead corpse and CGI deep faked it onto some stunt double's body, and we own you for eternity. You probably never owned a machine with a microprocessor in your life.
Yeah. I am worried about this technology. And I know we've talked about that before.
Oh, it's absolutely worrisome. And I mean, if you ask me, it's there needs to be some sort of, I'm not saying it should be illegal for movies, but just in general, there should be some sort of legislation. I feel like we've gotten to that point.
Yeah.
I hate saying that. And I don't think our politicians are capable of it because they're too old, basically. But I think we've gotten to that point where technology in general and even like deep fakes especially need to be regulated in some way, because that's gonna fuck with our democracy if you can just have like, oh look, Biden said this, no he didn't, that was a deep fake, that sort of thing.
Yeah,
which is not even remotely far away.
No, not at all. And like, even though Mark Hamill was involved with it, it's still like softened the impact of that scene. I feel like
it absolutely did. I almost wish they had just given him young man makeup or something.
Well, or just like, everyone on Earth wants Sebastian Stan to play Luke Skywalker. So
did they say that? So Sebastian Stan, who plays Bucky in the MCU, the Winter Soldier, does everybody say that? Because you're the only person I've heard.
I see it everywhere.
Okay,
it's like a common thing.
He looks kind of similar.
I think it's fine to recast Luke Skywalker. It's fine.
I think it's fine. You did it with Han Solo, and honestly, as people criticize that movie and maybe the character of Han Solo, I think if you look at his mannerisms and his performance, he got Harrison Ford down pretty well.
Yeah, he did a good job.
He did a good job.
I don't know what, people are never happy, and of course, why would you even have it in your head that he would like somehow like be
Because
better
it
than Han
doesn't
Solo,
feel the same way I was when I was 8 and saw
Yeah.
Star Wars for the first time.
Right.
Speaking of nostalgia, right before this podcast, we were talking about the new Ghostbusters trailer.
Release the Lord and Miller cut, but yes.
Who gives a fuck?
Yeah.
Who does anybody? That's the thing. I've always heard people talk about.
This is
Not
the cynical
now.
cast.
Well, this is the cynical cast more than usual.
More than usual,
But
yeah.
we don't have an actual movie to talk about much. And we'll get to one in a minute. But that's just more fuel for our cynicism.
Yeah, exactly.
But we just have time to bask in our own nihilism.
No, don't say that.
But you're that's the thing. I feel like people are always, before Indy 4 came out, we're like, what if there's another Indiana Jones? Because there was other Indiana Jones media that sometimes people forget about.
Sure,
like
yeah.
Was the whole Young Indiana Jones show, and there was a ton of books.
There was that video game that I never played.
The Fate of Atlantis.
Atlantis, yeah.
LucasArts, yeah. There was that and some other not as good video games.
Yeah.
But there's and Star Wars, of course, had a huge expanded universe even before the prequel trilogy. But I've never. I guess they had the Ghostbusters the animated series that your '80s nerds will have grown up watching.
Yeah.
But I've never heard any clamoring for that. I guess there was the Ghostbusters video game, which actually serves as Ghostbusters 3 because it has, I think, the same cast, and then uses like the scripts from the original script writers. And I'm not a huge. I like Ghostbusters 1. I don't love it. I watched it when I was younger. I wouldn't even say I grew up with it. It wasn't formative to me.
I liked it quite a lot. It's funny because when I was 14, I watched all kinds of stupid, horrible shit. But I watched Ghostbusters 2 once and never thought to put it on again. So that says that,
I don't hate Ghostbusters 2 as much.
I don't hate it either. I'd watch it if it was on TV.
That's the only time I've watched it. But
yeah,
it's more the same. And also, I don't know, Ghostbusters 2 didn't really work. And I guess I feel like they were disappointed in Ghostbusters 2016, which, did you see that?
Oh, no, thanks.
I didn't see it just because I
had no interest, just like I have no interest in this one.
I have no interest in this one. And it's not some like SJW, feminine women in my man movie, there needs to be dicks on the screen at all times sort of response. Right. It's just I legitimately don't care about any like feeble attempts at Ghostbusters sequels.
It was a Ghostbusters reboot with all women with forced shallow feminism. Like that's not
feminism that's like girl power but doesn't actually address
who get like I could give two fucks if they're
real world feminist issues. It's just paying lip service so that I guess Twitter liberals will buy tickets.
Right.
I mean, I guess
who gives a fuck if it's a female cast? That's cool, whatever. But like,
watch Annihilation. We've had this discussion.
All right.
If you want a badass sci-fi movie with a great feminist female cast, watch Annihilation.
Right.
Which nobody watched.
No interest in Ghostbusters 2016, so I didn't watch it.
It might be good. I don't know.
The reason I'd be more interested in this one is because it is Ivan Reitman's son, But it's the same. Fuck you, Force Awakens, for bringing back old franchises with new blood and passing it down. It's the same shit with the Stranger Things cast. It's pretty cookie cutter.
Is it the whole cast, or it's
not
the whole
cast, but
it's just Finn Wolfhard, right?
Yeah,
and it's in a small town like Stranger
with other
Things.
Little, tweens,
And that's fine. You're trying to introduce them to a new generation. That is the thing. I guess you're assuming that parents will take their children to this, and so you're trying to get the parents so they'll bring their children.
I, as a 27-year-old man, don't want to watch 13-year-olds trying to bust ghosts. I would rather watch, like young adults, if anything.
Maybe
even
like
if it was like 17, 18.
16, 17.
Yeah, just like these 13, 14-year-old kids, it just makes it less appealing to me.
I would be cool with it. Maybe if they took the route of actually doing it like 14-year-old kids talk. almost like a super bad, like an R-rated, but they're all 14.
Yeah.
But they can't do that, and I understand why. But it'd be cool if they could make an original movie about kids hunting ghosts, but that's asking too much. Did you ever see Monster Squad? I never saw that, but that's what this reminds me of.
What is Monster Squad?
Monster Squad. It's where Wolfman's got nards.
Oh, and it's got like Dracula and the Mummy and like all of them together.
Yeah, and they're fighting
I
them.
watched that drunk like 8 years ago and don't remember it.
Okay, so this is a good movie then.
Yeah.
That's what they. I mean, they're going to scrape the bottom of the barrel where there's going to be some sort of Netflix reboot, not a theatrical, but some sort of. I mean, we got like Dark Crystal sequels and stuff.
I did watch this Bill Murray scene in the 2016 reboot, and it was fucking sad.
Yeah, because they had to drag him in,
Yeah.
and then I often wonder that with a lot of actors, like with these nostalgic movies, like let's take Space Jam: A New Legacy, for instance, which even though it's not Michael Jordan's son, this is still about LeBron and his son, and you got to have that family angle, but there's almost a passing down the torch there because and to be fair, it's widely accessible. Family is something everybody deals with. Even if you're an orphan, you still deal with not having a family. So it's completely universal. But I do wonder how much of it, like actors who show up in Space Jam: A New Legacy, like Sarah Silverman and Stephen Yeun, who are both way too talented for that movie. And so is LeBron James, even if it's not for acting. He's too talented. But I almost wonder if part of it's like if they say no to that movie, aside from the money, which I understand, does it give you a bad name in Hollywood if you start rejecting roles based off of your own like artistic integrity? In the studio system, does it get to the point where people paint you as a diva because you don't want to do certain roles without giving a good enough reason?
Depends on the level of actor.
It does. And also I am guessing, I kind of forgot there's a whole audition process you probably have to do.
Yeah.
Although with something like that, I don't know, there's favors or people can write roles with people in mind and stuff like that at that level. Sarah Silverman and Stephen Yeun are pretty, I wouldn't call them A-list, but they're pretty high, especially after Minari. You know, they're B plus at least.
What it's, obviously it's a habit of calling these movies sequels when they're really just remaking the movie and like referencing that the first movie exists. This happens a lot these days. But I will say my favorite part of the film is the fact that his son wants to play and make video games, which is a now much more relatable topic and issue. And I'm glad that a big, giant kids family movie is kind of like pointing this out, because I know a lot of people that have had lots of problems with their family not understanding the art of video gaming and it being a problem.
No, I understand that, and I kind of had to like. My parents were never anti-video games. They didn't let me play on the weekdays just because they wanted me to do my homework and stuff. And they know if they had let me play Nintendo all the time, that's all I would have done. Which is, in hindsight, I respect and think is a good idea because knowing me. But to me, that felt like another forced corporate decision. That felt like a hey, fellow kids, with the video games. Also,
man.
So part of that's because this one kid developed this entire complex video game by himself, which is not accurate to the realities of game development.
Gives a fuck.
Yeah, you're right.
I don't know. It's just like
I like Grandma's Boy better than I like this movie by like a factor of 10-1. That's a better video game movie.
I don't know, man. I just thought it was nice. And my growing up, my mom was like, she didn't think she saw video games more of like a novelty. And
I understand that because this is something I had an epiphany recently. I don't play MOBAs. So when I watch clips from League of Legends, if I see it, I don't really know what's going on because I don't know all the characters or even I don't even know what the objective is, destroy the towers or whatever. But I feel like me watching League of Legends, that's what most people see when they watch a video game. It's just like colors and things moving around, but they have no concept of the
Right.
rules or anything. It'd be like if I brought you a chessboard and you were like, what are these figurines? Not realizing that there's a whole game to be played with them. I feel like that's how a lot of people view video
I
games.
don't know. Well, yes. Also, my mom played Mario Kart with me, so she at least had a small grasp and this like Scooby Doo game for the N64.
Right. But if you tried to sit her down and uh, explain, like, there's this game called The Last of Us and it has like a really
Yeah,
like compelling narrative, she'd be like, get out of here. Although that movie, I mean, that game, I called it a movie, that should tell
kinda.
you, is
Yeah.
incredibly, it's basically a movie. It's cinematic. So that might be more accessible to
Well,
her.
I remember she sat me down when I was 11 and she's like, "Well, your cousin Gabby and her friends, they don't play Mario anymore, this and that." And my cousin was like the most like cookie cutter boring ass quote unquote
Yeah, your
normie,
cousin Gabby sounds like a dipshit. Mario's great, and I
and I was just like, I just looked at her, I was like, I don't care. I love Mario. And she's like,
yeah.
and then like she
One
was
of my
like
cousins is in rehab. Should I do what he does?
and like in high school, she was like, he's still playing video games. Okay, you're gonna grow out of this sometime. And just like I don't know, different kind of thought
It is,
process.
and no, and I do understand that because trying to put the cynicism aside, and we talked about this, it's too easy to be cynical about this movie. And that's
Yeah,
the
it's way
easy
too
route, and
easy.
that's the route everyone's taking. And I went into this movie trying not to be cynical, and despite my best efforts, was still a fucking curmudgeon the entire time. But I hopefully, maybe you'll walk out of something and some parent will be like, I should relate to my kid more in their interests, which is one of the themes of the movie. And that's a good thing. I know
Right.
Matt, our friend Matt, took his,
We
9-year-old
yeah,
son,
his
and he
kid
loved
came
it.
with us.
Yeah.
And I saw it, a theater filled with families and kids, hearing kids laugh and stuff. That was probably helped my viewing of it, honestly.
It had probably helped a lot because I
Except
watched it alone.
except like hearing like a kid be like Rick and Morty. I was like, why do you know who Rick and Morty are?
Lots of
If
kids,
you
man.
if you don't know, Rick and Morty have a cameo in this film, and it's
Because
really weird
which
because
which is a very R-rated. Their last
very
the last
yeah
arc of the show had a giant space incest baby, and the fact that they're in this cartoon is insane to me and kind of morally
yeah
suspect. But also, people don't realize that Rick and Morty is kind of partially for children because there are 30-year-olds who are like, "Oh man, Rick and Morty ain't what it used to be when I was like 22 or something." It's like, well, yeah, because you were like still in college smoking fat blunts and like target audience, and now you have a family. What do you think is going to happen?
yeah. Well,
Which is another thing.
no,
But there's the thing. There's the limits of nostalgia. It is, I think, what we wanted to talk about because this movie is incredibly self-aware, but that's almost to its detriment. At a certain point, a corporation winking at me, I can still tell behind your winking face that you're a corporation.
of course,
And even though I know there's people who worked very hard on this movie and these scripts and probably invested and took it very seriously, I'm sure, but that doesn't it's also, I think, we've become numb to it as film goers, at this like winking at the audience sort
yeah.
of. I mean, I even have that problem with Rick and Morty a bit. Is sometimes I just want them to do the silly sci-fi story and jokes without like self-referencing so much,
Yeah,
because it actually takes me out of the viewing experience and it breaks verisimilitude, which I know is kind of the point, but that's because they don't trust the audience to invest in the movie in the first place. And if you never trust your audience to invest in a movie, then what do you have? You're just going to fall back on irony and then they'll never be invested.
it's it's like almost too much for me. The scene in Space Jam 2 where like LeBron is literally like in a board meeting and they're trying to pitch to him all this shit and he's like, no, fuck this. And it's like you wrote this into your own movie in like this Warner Bros verse. Like it's just like
You're shitting on yourself. You're making fun of the villain is AI. And
Yeah.
so you're trying to get on the inner. It's like you realize you're so evil and that you're such a money grubbing corporation that the only way you trust an audience to get invested in your movie is to paint yourself as the villain of your own movie.
Yeah.
And that doesn't make
Can't wrap
that
my
doesn't
mind
make
about.
me
I
like
can't
you.
wrap my mind around it. It's insane.
No, I can wrap my mind. It's a corporate thinking that in a certain world I think makes absolute sense. And I also wonder, like, I used to work at a nonprofit for a year, and there would be interactions with the corporate world or with the for-profit world or just business is I guess what the word for that is. And it's a fundamentally different way of thinking. And I often wonder how much, if you're living in Burbank and you're a movie executive, how removed are you from the average person? And how unrelatable it are is it? I also, this is a small observation, but I realized that in the original movie, they gave Michael Jordan a nice but very reasonable middle class home that he lived in. When in real life, he lives in an estate. He has to like
Yeah.
take a golf court cart to his bathroom. You know, like
Yeah.
I figure like I don't know. If he has to pee in the middle of the night, he probably just like rings a bell and somebody comes with like a pot for him to go in. Like he probably pays somebody just for that. But in this, they make no pretense and have LeBron be like in his private basketball court on his like Hollywood Hills. But also, I guess part of the arc of the movie is him relating to his son more and like being out of touch.
Yeah.
Uh, I guess I feel like LeBron had a lot more to do and say. LeBron had to have had more lines in this movie than Jordan did in the
Easily.
original.
Easily.
Because Jordan, and I think he had a lot more range of emotions he
LeBron
had
was
to emote.
actually fully like fleshed out for a children's film.
Yeah, he is, and he did his best, Uh, but I can't act. I've never acted, so
Yeah.
I couldn't do any better. I definitely couldn't play LeBron James as well as him. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah.
Nobody would buy that. But the yeah, it's him being out of touch, but he has so much more range he has to go through in this movie than Michael Jordan did in the original. And I feel like Michael Jordan, but because they knew they were writing for somebody who wasn't an actor, a lot of his lines were like drier, and he did a lot of like almost like "you kidding me" faces at the camera because Looney Tunes were doing crazy stuff.
Yeah.
A lot of like one line reactions, and I feel like LeBron's a lot more central in this. And that almost plays to the movie's deficit, not from a character development perspective. That's fine on paper, but just because LeBron James cannot emote everything he needs to, and they didn't restrict him as much as Jordan. So that's just an observation on performances I have.
Sure.
But
Um overall, despite it being, hodgepodge of Warner Bros licensing obviously to cash in, it's a lot of it is just inoffensive to me.
is
As
it
like
inoffensive?
entertainment wise, I had fun with people watching it and stuff, and
I think you watched it the way you're supposed to watch it, not me, a 28-year-old man watching it alone in his living room, which
yeah,
is for to eventually talk on a
I
podcast,
was
and not because he has any real interest in the movie.
I I love
If
the
you had
Looney
mentioned covering that
Tunes.
movie for the podcast, I wouldn't have watched it. So take that in mind.
I would have watched it regardless because one, I'm interested in that kind of stuff, like historically, I guess.
It is a
And
weirdly
then
historic
also
movie, I feel.
I gotta see the Looney Tunes, and I'll tell you what, there was more 2D animation than I was expecting, which was cool.
How did you feel about the slapstick? There were a few
It was
scenes.
fine.
There were a few scenes that kind of made me laugh.
There's
One
some,
was like Marvin the Martian. Like he made me. I love Marvin the Martian too.
yeah.
Um, he made me laugh, and there were some other things, some like one-liners and stuff. But
The
a
problem
lot of it,
is
even
that
then, a lot of it seemed forced. Like, okay, now we got to have the 2D animation slapstick part.
yeah,
And for
obviously,
some
but
reason,
like, oh, here's the problem: is that there's decades worth of Looney Tunes slapstick already in existence, so
that's fair.
it's hard to make new, you know,
Right, with the same new
routines.
animation slapstick with the same characters while simultaneously being relatable.
So yeah,
And a lot of kids don't like that type of humor. I tried showing Looney Tunes to one of my classes once. They're 10 years old. Maybe they thought they were too old and cool for it. I was laughing more than them. But I also think I appreciate the cleverness of the jokes and the
yeah.
visual gags in a classic Looney Tune in a way that they don't yet.
No.
Just in terms of pure craft. I mean, some of those old Looney Tunes are like visually. If you just think about the visual gags, they're smart and well done,
Sure.
and more complicated than you would think.
I I was glad there was more to the animation, but what was missing for me from the film is
Lola Bunny boobs.
No, Looney Tunes being in the real world. Like I like seeing animation mixed with live action, and there wasn't any of that until the end of the movie because the movie takes place inside of a fucking
server. Yeah,
server. Yeah, almost said Snyder.
Almost Snyder.
But so like that novelty, I like that a lot. That's why I like Back in Action so much, which is obviously the best of the three, Looney
live
Tunes
action
movies.
And I haven't seen that one. I might give that one a watch.
Are you
sometime.
Fucking kidding me, man?
No, I never saw it. I wanted to see it when it came out, but I guess I didn't catch it.
The director of Gremlins made that movie.
Oh, that's good.
Oh. Yeah. But yeah, so that was sorely lacking for me. Also, Daffy Duck didn't get as much screen time. That's my boy Daffy.
I like Daffy.
And like he doesn't play basketball in this movie. He's just the coach, pretty much.
Oh, he doesn't. See, I don't even remember.
And he could have had some more bits. I'm glad, I'm glad it exists. I don't know. A lot of kids.
I'm not.
I want kids to get back into Looney Tunes.
I would like that, but also part of me is like, if they want to get into Looney Tunes, they can watch it on YouTube. Like you said, it's been
not
done.
The same.
It's not the same, but
because like,
and how many times has Warner Brothers, even in this movie, they had like part of the plot of this movie is that Looney Tunes is not very profitable, because like they send them off to other planets.
Yeah.
And then Bugs was wildly out of character, if you ask me. He was like a weird, depressed Bugs. Like
I don't know. That was kind of fresh for me to see him like trying to get past. Yeah.
This has been done before. So do we need more Looney Tunes? Is it okay to let franchises die and then make, like, is that possible? And I'm sure somebody has charts somewhere of cost benefit analysis of this, but like, I know you're risking when you create a new IP, but how much money do you have to sink into a dying or dead IP before you give up? How many times do you have to try to revitalize Ghostbusters?
I don't know. There was like this weird, like natural Looney Tunes renaissance in the 90s. And so
there was.
And just like classic cartoons in general. Like Cartoon Network was showing Looney Tunes and Hanna-Barbera, Scooby-Doo like all day. And it was cool. And like, so that's why
I was familiar with the characters of Looney Tunes very well.
I watched it a lot. Yeah.
I watched it a lot. Looney Tunes is actually very influential on me as a person and just my sense of humor, what I find funny. And I still really love and appreciate silly visual gags like you would find in Looney Tunes and that sort of classic animation. That's often
why I like The Simpsons so much too.
Yeah, for sure. Even from contemporary animation, I feel like contemporary shows sometimes.
I don't know. We don't have 2D animated kids movies really much anymore. So
no,
I don't know.
Almost not at all.
I wish I need that to come back. So I don't know.
I would. I don't know if 2D animation is more expensive or if it just makes less money than 3D animation.
I don't see how it could be more expensive. Like watching Frozen 2, I was like, Jesus Christ, dude, this is fucking insane. Like, how detailed do you have to be for these movies now? Like,
yeah, the bar is set so high. It's. I almost feel bad for the animators sometimes.
Yeah,
I'm like the people, not the. It just. I feel like it used to be. You can even take this with video game development or any kind of graphics development, and I do wonder like how AI and better tools will speed up this process. But I think it used to be like I made and animated a character. And now it's like I did the textures on this character's socks. And I feel like that cannot be as creatively satisfying
Oh, no way.
as creating an entire character or an
Of course
entire scene.
not.
I mean, that's animation and texture art. Those are two different disciplines, but still.
Matt asked his son which one he like preferred, and of course, 9-year-old kid said the new one.
Yeah.
So
He said
I
this
don't know.
one's like a 9 out of 10 and the original's a 7 out of 10, which I
Yeah.
get. And also,
Wow.
I do think, depending on who you ask, the original is not. Also, you have to understand who Michael Jordan is and was, like, and how big he was in the
It's
90s.
true. It's crazy to me that kids don't know Michael Jordan nearly as well now.
If you're not into basketball, why would you?
Yeah, exactly. But like, it was just like
But my brother had he had a
phenomenon.
Michael Jordan poster in his room and
Oh
stuff.
yeah.
And I had an old boss of mine who she just posts on Facebook that she showed her kids who were younger than Matt's kid, the original Looney Tunes, and they're just kind of like, eh. And they also didn't get it. They don't understand the cultural context.
Yeah. It was such like a wild mashup idea.
Right.
Very 90s. That's the thing. The first film was very 90s, and it's very nostalgic for that reason.
And it is corporate, just not on.
And this movie is very 20s, and it's also corporate as well. So like, is it fair to be overly nostalgic for the first one and shit on this one all day? No, I don't think so.
No, I don't think it's fair to shit on this one all day and not acknowledge that the first one is a corporate product as well. A bit more, or not a bit more, a lot more inspired. At least somebody had the
it's
idea.
more charming to me.
Yeah, and somebody had the idea originally instead of a sequel of like, oh, what if we had the Looney Tunes play basketball with Michael Jordan?
I do want to know how the fuck that even came about originally.
Yeah. I feel like it almost like two writers could have been joking about it, and then they started hashing it out, and they're like, wait a minute, I can actually see this as a movie.
And then they somehow got Michael Jordan on board. Like, how? I'll give
I don't know.
I'll give the new one its credit. Going into this movie, I was like, oh, they're gonna have to hit a beat where they bring back Michael Jordan for a cameo. And then they hit that beat in the movie. I was like, oh, here we go. And then it was Michael B. Jordan. And I was like, okay, thank you for doing that.
Even that, it felt like they read some Reddit comments about that joke, and then
I think it was funny.
And were like, that's the thing. I could not invest myself in this movie at all, and I tried to suspend my cynicism. I chuckled at a few visual gags or some of the lines.
I can, there's parts I can, I enjoyed. I couldn't help but find it funny.
Did you enjoy them interacting with the Justice League?
Yeah, that was fine.
You did?
Yeah, sure.
Did you enjoy James being a Hufflepuff?
No, that's stupid. But
did you enjoy?
Listen. I couldn't help but enjoy watching Wile E. Coyote run through Mad Max Fury Road and then spray his face and say, "Witness me," because that is just like insane to me that it exists.
The fact that it exists when Fury Road came on the screen, I was flabbergasted. Yeah, that's another thing. That's a movie about a bunch of
Matt
slaves.
Matt turned and looked at me like Wile E. Coyote. Like, it's just insane to me. Like, I do like that they put that in there simply for the fact that like it's cemented in pop culture that Fury Road is already like a classic. And that's cool.
Yeah, I didn't notice. I'm like, I mean, Warner Brothers, that movie, I don't think it was profitable. It wasn't like the biggest profit ever, but they know that they had a classic on their hands with that movie. And it'd be nice if, if we're going to have another Mad Max, we need to get on it.
Supposedly they start filming Furiosa in like a few months. So
that is, dude, I just want another Mad Max. I don't want Furiosa.
I do too, but also I trust George. So
it's going to be good. And maybe it'll, I don't know. I remember one time I was in a writing class in college and some neckbeard was like, it was more of a Furiosa movie than a Mad Max movie. And I'm like, shut.
Wow, congratulations. You paid attention to the film.
Yeah, you and your hot take. Also, Max is, I know we're jerking off this 6-year-old movie, but it's like, he's always been like an outsider. That's his character. He's an observer who walks in, saves the day and walks out. He's a Ronin. He's a samurai. He's a gunslinger. That's his archetype. Anyway, like, he's a simple character on purpose. That's who he is. He hardly has any lines in The Road Warrior. I'm just here for the gasoline. I'm just here for the product placement.
Gasoline. Um. Oh yeah. Um. I'm
What?
moving on past Space Jam now.
Okay, that's fine because
Um.
I can't yell
Yeah, no,
anymore.
it is. You know, everyone
It
else
is
has
what it
said.
is. That's the thing. That movie, I'll be honest, it was more than I thought it was. It was what I thought it was, but even more, and even more
Sure.
maximalist. And
Yeah.
Sarah Silverman showing
Sarah
up in that
Silverman,
movie.
man.
And Stephen Yeun.
I forgot how much I hate her in School of Rock because I rewatched that last night.
What, her character? She's supposed to
Yeah,
be cool.
I know, but it's just like how unlikable.
Yeah,
How could you make Sarah Silverman that unlikable?
no, she's such a good comic.
Yeah. Um. So yeah, I rewatched School of Rock, Linklater's studio film. It's fine. It's good. It's not anything compared to a lot of his other films, but like
I
I
love
like
School
it.
of Rock. Rewatching it recently, but that's also because I had my experience.
Just I mean,
I was
how
literally a
high?
fifth. I was literally a fifth grade teacher when I was
Yeah,
watching that
that's
movie.
nice.
So that was just, and
That
I
movie
was
without
also
Jack Black though, how much he elevates the film. Like he
he
makes it.
elevates that film so much.
Um,
But also I was like, there's no way you could teach any 10-year-olds any of this. I,
it's got a similar disbelief system like Home Alone. Like shit just like lines up and you're like,
I
yeah,
think I
whatever.
think I think with any kind of with any movie with kids, the kids almost by nature have to act more adult than kids are in real life, or they just be running all over the place and
Yeah.
screwing with the plot of the movie. Because
Yeah, yeah.
kids are too LOL random in real life for you to rely on them for any real plot development.
Ha, Candy's dick fit in your mouth. These nuts. Yeah, for real. I think about what if I was in school now and not back in the 2000s. Like I'd be,
You would be insufferable.
T-posing and like saying big chungus and all.
Right. But that's youth and that's charming.
Did you see that letterbox review of Space Jam? And it was like some kid freaked the fuck out when he saw Big Chungus on screen so much that his mom had to take him out of the screening. And then he's like, it was that sentence, and then the second sentence was, I forgot the entire film on the way home. That was it.
That is one thing. I wonder how many kids, just in general, know the Big Chungus memes, but don't know
Yeah,
who much about Bugs Bunny, who've never seen a big Bugs Bunny cartoon.
yeah, for real.
You know? I know I talked to one kid randomly who, and I guess it's because, okay, he was a Spanish kid and this show doesn't play on Spanish television. Um, he didn't know American Dad, but he knew the American Dad speedruns meme video,
Wow,
which was hilarious.
that's
It doesn't show on.
incredible.
They have Family Guy on TV here. They don't have American Dad, so you would have to hunt for it to watch it here.
That's kind of an obscure meme.
It kind of. I think it's cool, dude.
I loved that meme, man.
That's what
I
I
forgot
thought.
about that.
That video is 1,000 times better than Space Jam. So I felt like I wanted to speed run this movie. I'll tell you that much.
Got him.
Got him.
Going back to some news I forgot to bring up. There's a live action Pokemon show in the works. Do you have any interest? Yeah, TV show. That's what's weird.
I could actually kind of see that working. I didn't see Detective Pikachu. I heard it was mediocre. And but here I would rather see drawn Pokemon. Also, I feel like a lot of Pokemon's designs, you would kind of have to pick and choose what Pokemon you do.
Yeah, that's what I'm
because
thinking.
some of them aren't going to translate to live action very
TV
well.
CGI, man. I thought the CGI and the creative choices in Detective Pikachu were weird as fuck. Some Pokemon look good and then others look fucking crappy.
In the trailer, I thought, even in the trailer for Detective Pikachu, some of those Pokemon, I'm like, this looks like one of those fan-made trailers.
Yeah.
Where they just make some stuff in Maya and put it in. Like, I know there was like a gritty real life Pokemon, quote unquote, trailer a few years before that movie came out, and it reminded me of that.
Well, it was like, here's the thing. There was some stuff in Detective Pikachu. I was like, okay, this is on the right path. This is interesting enough world building, but then there's the other half of the movie where tonally it feels like it was like made for like 5-year-olds, not just like families and like older children, like 5-year-olds. And I was like,
Okay.
fuck, this is boring. It's
There's
just weird because like there's so many tonal inconsistencies. Like Ryan Reynolds Pikachu makes like a joke about cocaine, and then like other parts of the movie makes it feel like this is on like fucking PBS or something, like small children. I'm like, what the fuck is going on here?
that is odd. Um, and that's
And
why I
like
don't watch that movie.
they make Mewtwo like he's fucking Dr. Manhattan.
Yeah, you told
Like,
me that one.
yeah, like they don't lay down any rules for
Also,
Mewtwo.
Mewtwo
They just act like
needs
he
to be
can
used
manipulate.
sparingly.
They act like he can manipulate like time and space and like do whatever the fuck he wants.
Isn't it?
He's just
We're
psychic.
really off the beaten track here, but with more and more generations of Pokemon, we're on to what, Gen 8, and
Something like that.
you add new legendaries each time. Doesn't that just make them less legendary? It
Yes.
makes them less like how many legendary birds we need? I don't know.
And then
It is
yeah,
what it is. I
so
have not played a Pokemon since Gen 1, which is a gamer confession. That's
yeah,
perhaps paints my cred, but
a little bit.
I don't know.
I don't know. It's just like I like that they in Detective Pikachu they go into like this underground Pokemon tournament. And that was like a highlight of the movie to me. And it's
But
like
that's like the same thing. That's like they saw that fan made thing I did where it was like Fight Club with Pokemon.
it's just
Um,
like, man, if they're gonna do a show, one
are they
don't.
running? Are they? What major franchises have they not done this with? They've done it with Space Jam and Detective Pikachu, and they're doing it with Ghostbusters. What more we're gonna try to get um young millennials and their kids in the theaters?
Well, this is a show, so
This is a show. But what franchises have not been touched? I guess because they're not profitable enough.
Back to the Future. Thank
Back to the
God.
Future, dude. We'll have a reboot of Back to the Future at some point.
Uh-uh. They dude, they've like Robert Zemeckis and everyone else have like said like we're making sure that this is not tampered with. We're
Do
leaving it
they have
alone.
that power?
I hope so. They seem to act like it. So
They could do something. They had an animated series, which was okay.
yeah, and they had some comics. But I just don't want this live action Pokemon show to be, Ash, Misty, Brock. Make new characters. Make it,
No, it should be
different.
because that'd be weird to see.
New characters, please.
That'd be weird to see Brock in live action,
Make it
especially because this
make
actor
it
would
at
have to have
least
eyes closed the whole
PG.
time.
Yeah. Make it at least PG. My heart would want a TV 14 Pokemon show.
No, what?
Yeah, hell
Why?
yeah. Like get intense. DBZ.
What,
I
like
don't know.
Pokemon cursing or
No, I mean I'm just saying like it can get kind of brutal. I don't
the
know.
Pokemon movies can get pretty brutal.
Yeah. That's why I'm hoping for TV PG, you know, and not just like a
Maybe.
basic ass thing. But either way, I don't know.
It is. Well, what is it? Netflix?
I maybe I don't
It's
remember.
one of these. It'll probably be on for one or maybe 2 seasons, and then they
Yeah,
just won't continue it.
they'll axe it. Yeah,
They'll
it's
axe
a
it
shame. That's a
because
problem with
the
Netflix
point
now.
is they get new subscribers, but once they get the new subscribers from the show and being able to say they have the show because they're not selling ads, they can just like, well, it's not like TV where each season we're going to sell more ads, so just screw it.
Netflix thinks this is an okay thing for them to do, but it's starting to burn them. So hopefully it burns
I
them
do think
even
it's
more
starting to burn them now that they have much more competition.
because people want complete shows. Like they went to Netflix because Netflix at first was allowing people to do stuff on that streaming show you couldn't do on TV and have more artistic risks and stuff and like, you know, have a good overarching non-canceled series. And now they're doing the same shit that Fox is doing with new shows. And they're trying anything they can because now there's Paramount Plus and HBO Max and Peacock and all that, So
Does Peacock and Paramount Plus, do they have original shows much net yet?
I don't know about Peacock. Paramount, I haven't seen too much of that. They do have an extensive library, like Viacom shit. Um,
That's cool. No, they do, which
obscure
is nice.
stuff. I did I did it for 1 month. I'm only gonna use it for this month, and then because I just was like, I don't want to pay $10 a month just to if I feel like watching Danny Phantom or SpongeBob or something, you know.
That's the thing.
There's
Which
some
is
cool there's a few good movies on there, but like HBO Max is definitely the one I'm keeping for right now.
Peacock's main bargaining chip is The Office. People who
Yeah.
want to stream The Office, which is I don't know, just download The Office.
Yeah.
But this is so judgmental. Um, if you're the kind of person who like is that obsessed with rewatching The Office, you're probably not the kind of person who's going to be tech literate enough to like know how to download something to an external hard drive.
Right.
It's because, which is fine, and you're probably in a higher economic class than me, in a nice suburb with a well-paying job and happy family, and you don't cry yourself to sleep at night. And
Right.
good for you. Good for you. But my superior taste in media is the only thing I have to keep me from putting a fucking gun in my mouth.
Amen,
So just
brother.
give me this, Office fans.
Praise it and blaze it. Yeah. Anyway.
What stuff in 2021 are you looking forward to?
Shit, man.
Or
Dune, obviously.
2022. We said Dune. I'm
Dune,
really
Dune,
looking forward to
Dune.
the Green Knight, which comes out in
Green
2 days.
Knight.
By the time this podcast
I'm gonna
comes
watch
out,
that on Friday. Yeah, we're gonna definitely. Is that coming to Spain?
Spain. I looked because I really want to see that in theaters. I looked right before this podcast. I didn't see it. I'll check again. I
If
hope
you can
so.
find it, I would love to review it.
I would love to see it in original voice. I'm not gonna watch a Spanish dub. And
No.
also, I feel bad for saying this. I don't feel like that's a movie that they would, if they did dub it, they would get the best like dub actors for. I feel like it would be kind of a half-ass dub just for what it is, Although it is, I don't know. I feel like, it's based on Knights of the Round Table, which is European, so Spaniards they'd be into that. They'd watch. I mean, they literally had knights and stuff in Spain.
Yeah,
so
it's just
it's medieval.
It's art house, so I'm
It
not
is
sure.
it's art house fantasy.
It's fucking
They have
sounds
art
sick
house
as
here,
hell.
but will a company pay to dub that very well? Because you do know, by the way, they have different dubs for Latin America and for Spain. I don't know if you knew.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Because it's different enough to justify that.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. For me, it's kind of the same because it's all foreign language to me. It's all my second language. So the colloquial differences are not as big as a difference as the fact that it's not English.
Yeah.
Like, it's all not English to me. So the fact that you say ustedes and you say vosotros it's not a deal breaker for me in any way. I don't really care.
Yeah. Green Knight.
So looking for the Green Knight.
Definitely going to see.
Ridley Scott has, what is it, The Last Duel or something?
Yeah.
Coming out, which is another historical drama by him. Let's see, Exodus, Gods and Kings didn't do that well. Robin Hood was not great. Ridley Scott's so hit or miss.
I know.
And you and I are more defenders of the Prometheus and newer Alien movies than I think most people. I didn't hate Alien Covenant. I saw it at a discount theater and I enjoyed the imagery and what it was. Also knowing fully well that I think Ridley Scott wants to make an entirely new Prometheus universe, but Fox just wants them to keep making Alien movies.
Yeah.
I feel like to a certain degree, which she's fine to comply with. But I feel like if I got Ridley Scott drunk in a bar somewhere and really pressed him, like, is the alien stuff kind of shoehorned in the Prometheus? He'd be like, yeah, it is. You're right. But I don't care. I got to make the movie I wanted.
Edgar Wright has a new movie coming out in October. Something Soho. Last Night in Soho, I think.
Okay. What about Soho's in New York, isn't it?
Looks good, yeah.
We have Spider-Man, No Way Home, Shang-Chi, Venom 2, The Eternals.
I'll be seeing all of those.
You'll be seeing all of those.
Yep.
The Eternals, I'm kind of interested in. Just because
Shang-Chi, I want everyone to go support Shang-Chi so we don't let Asian blockbusters flop.
that's true. Here's the thing: if it has good kung fu, I'll see it. If
Yeah.
it's like I heard Iron
I'll make you go
Fist,
see it with me while you're in the States.
yeah, that's true. I heard Iron Fist didn't have good kung fu, and I'm like, it's Iron Fist. Like, why else am I
Yeah.
watching? I'm not gonna watch it if it doesn't have good kung fu. Snake Eyes,
Yeah.
did that one out.
Snake Eyes, yeah.
That's
That
so
already came
weird. I
out,
feel
yeah.
like because I don't talk to anybody who saw either of those GI Joe movies,
No one gives a shit about G.I. Joe.
but enough people saw them.
Select Gen X 80s neckbeards still care about G.I. Joe.
I guess I had some GI Joe toys when I was a child, but I never watched the show. I guess I'm too young, kind of.
Sam is my only friend that watched G.I. Joe as a kid and was interested enough to see those movies.
I mean, there is GI Joe lore. Oh, we got the Paw Patrol movie. If you're a fascist,
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
No Time to Die. I
Which should
like
have came
Daniel
out.
Craig.
No Time to Die was supposed to come out November 2019.
Yeah, God. Well, maybe they can de-age Daniel Craig. I don't know. With the extra time. I actually really like Daniel Craig's interpretation of Bond, but he's been doing it since 2000. He's been doing it for 15 years,
Yeah.
and we're past the gritty reboot thing
Yeah,
that
we're
was
over that
happening in
now.
the mid 2000s.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I think Casino Royale is a great movie and one
Yeah,
of
it
the best
is.
Bond movies for sure, but it's just kind of we're past that era, and I wouldn't mind a goofier Bond, not
That's
full
what
goof,
I'm saying.
not you know, and you can even have like him be the. There's a ton of ways you could do it. Him be the straight man in the circumstances, but also I don't want to Bond because I feel like we got to this point where everything had to be gritty and realistic because we didn't. I guess people didn't trust audiences to invest in things that are goofy or they thought they're too. And now we've gone to this like post-ironic, self-referential
That's what
phase.
I don't want Bond
But
to
I
be.
don't want that in Bond.
Yeah.
You know,
I just want it to
there
be,
can
I
be
want it to own what it is.
yeah, and there can be like own what it is because that's Bond is I wouldn't say there's winking to the camera, but there's definitely you get the sense that people know how ridiculous it is, but they just go with it because it's Bond.
Sure.
So we'll see. New Top Gun. Okay,
It's for Gen
why?
X.
I don't know.
Um,
He goes around bombing people. Who he bombs Leah Remini for talking against Scientology. I don't know. West Side Story. Spielberg.
yeah.
We'll see how that goes.
I don't. It's starring a rapist, so well,
Oh wait, who is it? An alleged
unconfirmed.
rapist? Who?
Ansel Elgort.
Oh yeah. Oh, Baby Driver. Yeah, he has
Yeah,
some allegations.
he's got allegations.
I don't know
It
about
just
that.
weirds me out. And Baby Driver was like disappointing movie. So I don't
I
have.
think it was.
It
Yeah,
was like Edgar Wright wanting to be Tarantino. It's like, no, you should just do your own thing.
it was pretty definition of
But
style over substance.
yeah, so
None of the characters are interesting to me, and I don't. Yeah, I only remember the main character's name.
West Side Story. He Spielberg chose to make West Side Story instead of Indiana Jones 5, and it's like I respect that, but also West Side Story is a remake of a movie, so it's not like it's
It's
that
a
much like.
remake of a. Did the movie or the stage play come first?
I assume
For
the stage play, but I don't know.
I assume so. It might be a remake of an adaptation of a stage play.
So to be
And
honest,
finally, we got Halloween Kills, got Last Night in Soho, and also speaking of more nostalgia, we got the Many Saints of Newark and
Boy.
Matrix 4.
Oh man, Many Saints of Newark looks so good.
Yeah,
Can't wait.
You've watched The Sopranos
I
now.
watched all the Sopranos, and now it's like, okay, we're gonna get some good lore.
Hey, Sopranos, just yes or no. Did it live up?
Yeah, it's a good show. Now,
Yeah.
would I say it's the best show of all time? No.
But it's so
It's very influential, very
it's
good.
so monumental for TV. And honestly, would you say perhaps at the time it released, it was the best show of all time?
Maybe, I don't know.
One of, certainly.
But I mean, when we're talking about monumental TV, my heart still lies with Breaking Bad. So
yeah,
but
there
Sopranos
would be a
is
Breaking Bad without Sopranos.
Sopranos that Sopranos was back when like you had too many episodes in a season. So like
Yeah,
I feel like each season could have cut down one, maybe two episodes.
that's a big problem.
And
Although
those episodes
sometimes,
are like 55 minutes.
yeah. But you know, HBO, you gotta get that subscription money. They were the originals of that model.
Yeah, that's true. I
Mm,
want to do a Sopranos cast with Sumner and Brennan, so that might be coming soon to anyone listening.
cool.
But
Yeah,
yeah,
there's no
so
way I'm catching up in time for that.
fair
What the
enough.
fuck are they gonna do for Matrix 4?
I mean, I'm surprised there's not a trailer out, considering it's supposed to come out in December.
That's kind
It's
of
weird.
scary.
Well,
Maybe
also
maybe they're taking
Spider Man doesn't have a trailer too, so you know,
maybe they're taking the route with this that they're doing minimal. They're not telling you much about the plot, kind of like they did with the first Matrix.
maybe.
Are they even calling it the Matrix 4? What are they
I don't
calling it?
know, man. I don't know.
It's so weird. You know
Yeah,
what's weird? I've never seen Matrix 3. I never saw
I've
Revolutions.
never seen all of it.
I've never seen all of it. And I've seen Reloaded 2 or 3 times, and I've seen the original Matrix probably like 5 times plus times on TV.
I don't want to go into how much I dislike Matrix Reloaded, but that's okay.
Yeah. We don't have to. I'll be honest, if I didn't see um Matrix when I was 13 and bonded with my dad over it, I would probably like it less than I do. But I love it.
I've actually come to appreciate the first Matrix more now. I don't know.
Really, because you've vacillated a lot with that movie, I feel.
Yeah, I have.
You've gone back because I remember I showed you that movie, and when you first saw it, just because you didn't know about human batteries or anything, you were like, "What the heck?" Just mind blown.
Yeah,
And
I
then I
didn't
think you
know.
rewatched it after like our college years, and then like you had a more, I guess, film nerd like critical opinion of it. But then you've kind of come back
Yeah, but then
around.
now I've come back to where like, man, I really appreciate this movie now.
Yeah,
The
it is.
second one, there's parts in the second one I really like
There are
conceptually,
dope. There are dope parts in the
but
second one.
also a
They're
lot of
perfect.
it's just like a chore to watch for me personally. So
Well, 2 and 3 were supposed to be one movie, but they wanted a trilogy. Yeah, and honestly, the movie I am most excited for that's coming out, if I'm being honest, is Jackass Forever.
oh my
I'm
god,
excited for that. This is weird. I feel like with everything our civilization has been through, we need Jackass.
that's fair.
We need it. We need pure comedy,
This is
friends
the
being idiots. And here's the thing, I'm a hypocrite because that's calling back. You got a bunch of
it
middle-aged
is.
men, but
I'm fine with them getting new blood for Jackass. That's fine. That's
they
not the
can't.
same as The Force Awakens.
Yeah, and these are real people, not characters. They are
Right.
characters. They're
Yeah.
real
Well,
people.
yeah.
And you can't have Ryan Dunn rip.
Rest in peace.
Unfortunately, Bam is too deep in his addictions to be in it, which hurts me.
But
But
yes, I'm still going to watch and enjoy that movie. I did not
I'm gonna
watch the
watch it.
trailer because I'm going to have it all fresh. It'll be
I want
fun.
to see it in theaters with
I,
anybody who will go with me.
I won't have to sneak in to see it in theaters like I did the last time because I was not 17 yet at the time.
You know, which tells you how old this
Casher
movie
had to
is.
dry heave in the bathroom because of that movie.
Because it was so disgusting.
Yeah.
That's great. Did you see it in
So
3D?
no, I
Oh,
saw it
okay.
in Conway.
Okay.
That was
So,
back before we got the new theater.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I do wonder how the 3D would have worked in
And they
Jackass.
shot it on like actual 3D cameras, so that would have been
I
cool.
feel like it was. What's weird is I feel like Jackass 3D. Yeah, they at least didn't do a post conversion like a
Yeah.
lot of movies in that era. It probably had better 3D than the Clash of the Titans.
Any movie has better than dude. The worst was fucking Thor: The Dark World in post converted 3D, a 6-week conversion, like the
Uh,
smallest conversion you can get.
I saw the original Thor, and that was the only time I saw it. That's probably one reason I have a more negative opinion of that movie. I saw the original Thor in 3D, and it gave me a headache. By the end of the movie, I was like taking my glasses on and off watching it.
That
And I've never had
sucks.
that with another 3D movie.
Yeah, poor conversions. Stupid. I'm glad that fad is over.
Yeah,
Um.
thank God.
Anyway,
Now we just Candyman reboot. Never seen the original.
That
Everything.
trailer actually looks decent, but I'm either way.
I mean, we're in a horror renaissance right now. Who
It's true.
knows?
Yeah, Jordan Peele released his poster for his movie. It's not coming out till next year. It's called Nope.
I didn't see Us. I heard it was good.
Us is good, but I don't want to talk about it right now.
I no, yeah, I
Why I
don't
like
want
it.
to either.
And the movie is like almost like a backrooms movie.
The well, the thing about I almost feel like Jordan Peele was almost a victim of his own success because I don't think it's his fault. But I think all these publications was like new master of horror, like
Yeah.
like he's gonna be the greatest new thing, like and nobody could live up to that. And
Yeah.
Us was
They did
still
that
very
same
well.
shit with M. Night Shyamalan back in the 2000s.
Yeah, kind of.
They're like,
And it's
he's the
like
next Spielberg, he's this and that. And it's like,
I
okay.
think I think M Night he's had a bit of a career renaissance. Like he catches more shit, or at least he used to, than he probably deserved. But yeah, you make one good psychological thriller with a twist at the end, and like you're a victim of your own success. Uh,
I like Jordan Peele a lot though. So I'm
no,
excited to
yeah,
see
I
what he
think Jordan Peele's
does.
great.
Um,
I thought Get Out was great.
I'm glad that he put Tim Heidecker in a horror movie.
Yeah, there's just gonna be a bunch of Cinco commercials in the middle of the movie.
Fucking A. Yeah, anyway. So
I don't know.
want to wrap
Anything
stuff
else
up.
you're excited about?
Nah.
Anything else you watched recently? You wanted to real quick. Let's just do this real quick. You wanted to talk about you're showing your girlfriend the MCU. What was
Oh,
her reaction to Winter Soldier?
it's been interesting because she doesn't know anything about these things.
And I don't feel like Parker. She's not anti superhero, but she doesn't seem like she's that interested in superheroes. She's
right.
never.
She wouldn't have watched these
me.
unless I would have, pushed her to do it.
Right, and she's cool with fantastical things. I feel just not necessarily.
Oh yeah, she's big into Star Wars now.
Yeah, that's good. And I know she likes anime and some.
Yeah,
shit.
and so maybe I should word this in case she listens to this. I don't want her to get spoiled. But
okay.
When we were watching the first Captain America movie, she was like, "Oh, is that Bucky?" And I was like, "How you know who Bucky is?" And she's like, "Oh, he's like one of my friend's like favorite characters." So she had heard of Bucky, obviously. And when he quote unquote dies, he falls in the snow. She was like, she had like an actual, like a response. She was like, "Oh fuck, like what the hell?"
Yeah, which
And
is more than anybody.
she's like, "Is he's dead?" I was like, "Yep, he's dead." She's like, "Bucky died." I was like, "Yes." She's like, he's gone. I was like, she's like, "What?" She was like so confused. She was like, because like obviously her friend was like a big fan of this character, and to her it's like, okay, you're a fan of this character who's in one movie from 2011, like what? And so when the big reveal happens in Winter Soldier, she like, it took like 10 seconds for her to process it, and then she turned to me, like whipped her head and was like, "Is that Bucky for real?" And I was like, "Sure is." And she's like, "What the fuck?" And like so a lot of the action sequences in that movie are like really tight and like really like it's one of the better MCUs.
No, for sure. And there's a lot better, even with there's a lot better blocking, and it feels
fucking awesome movie. So
I liked it more in second.
I can tell when she likes certain movies more than others because she'll get really caught up. And in this one, she was very animated with a lot of like things that were happening on screen, like when Samuel L. Jackson's getting like attacked by the fake cops and shit, and like all this different stuff. And when Samuel L. Jackson quote unquote dies and stuff, just like that's really fun to me. That's why I like watching movies with her, because she gets very animated if she's
I'll be honest
really into it.
I think my favorite part of dating someone is just showing the movies I like.
Man, I'm telling you,
it's showing a woman a movie you like and her responding well to it is better than any orgasm you will ever have.
Yeah. Case in point, taking her to see Akira in theaters, and then it immediately becoming a top 10 favorite movies of all time for her, and then
That must have felt great.
asking me 2 days later to go see it again. I was
That's
like,
awesome.
fuck. So that's fun. That's a refresher, because like normally on my own I wouldn't rewatch the MCU movies. I've seen them a lot, but this has like completely refreshed it for me to
Well,
watch it with
and that
her.
is something that's interesting about these movies that can obviously, I think these movies can only exist in this serialized format because people can hear about them on the internet and then read synopses and things like that. And even
Right.
if there's certain characters you're not interested in, you can kind of read about it on the internet and get the information you need to go
Right.
for the next team up or
That's what
Avengers or
like
whatever.
that's the thing is like
It's very
you
interesting to me as though
gotta.
the MCU is kind of, I don't, it's old enough. I mean, 2008, we talked about Fury Road being a classic, and that's only like 6 years old. So
Yeah.
we've gotten to that point where, like, yeah, Iron Man's kind of an older movie. It's from a different era of
Yeah,
filmmaking,
dude.
you know?
It
And
stands
now we've
out
gotten to
too
the,
when you rewatch it. It's so funny how like Bush era that movie is
it's super
compared to the
into the
rest of.
butcher.
Yeah. And like
Um,
the
in
like
Winter
phones they
Soldier
use
3.
and shit, like the fake futuristic technology is so funny to me.
Oh, yeah, it is.
But so like, yeah,
I don't know.
it's just been
We're reaching
nice.
this point.
You
How
just
much are
gotta
you going to have to
view.
research? How many characters are you going to have to research for the next Space Jam? Because you'll be like, oh, I know this character through memes. My friend likes this character. My friend likes this brand. So I should research this brand because this brand's going to be in this new movie I see.
Right. Well, you just gotta view the MCU as a big TV show, a nice popcorn show. The episodes are 2 hours and 10 minutes each,
Yeah,
but high
that's the best
budget.
way to do it.
It's fun.
Also, you got to convince people that if you can watch 3 hours of TV, you can watch 2 hours of movie. I have
Right.
that conversation. I have that conversation more than I care to admit with people.
Right.
People
It,
are actually like weirdly impressed that I still frequently watch movies. Like I've had people be like, "Oh, really?" Like actually audibly impressed, and then also audibly impressed that I watch a variety of different genres.
hmm.
That they're like, "What kind of movies you like?" I'm like, "I don't know, man. I just like movies."
Yeah, that's crazy as fuck.
It's so weird. It's incomprehensible to me. There's not a genre of movie I won't at least try. Maybe like Hallmark romances, I won't really waste my time with.
No,
That I feel like if I watched it, drinking with the right crowd, it'd be fun.
I'm trying because it'll be fun because Parker, if you're listening to this podcast, stop it right now because I'm about to spoil something. Stop the podcast. Anyway, I mean, obviously, what I'm looking forward to most is, she doesn't know about Infinity War, what happens,
Yeah,
so, and to her,
everything. Yeah.
she, no one around her has been like into a lot of film franchises and movies and stuff. And she has like gotten to appreciate going to the movies over the last 2 years with me. Cause she's like, when I was growing up, we didn't really go to the movies that often and stuff. And she's like, now I find it really fun and I'm always happy to go and stuff. I'm like, wow,
Which I
that's so
think is another thing. I think a
crazy to
lot.
me.
I do think it's kind of incomprehensible for me too, because you and I both have parents who appreciate movies,
Yeah.
and like you and your mom bond, and you and your grandpa know bonded, and like me and my parents bond. I talked about how I bond with the Matrix with my dad, and I saw Thor. I saw that with my dad in theaters. He's not like he's definitely not caught up with the MCU, but he liked Iron Man and he liked Thor. Um,
Sure.
Even my mom, she like loves Die Hard and Silence of the Lambs. Those are like her two favorite movies. So, even though like my southern ass papa, like I'll ask him about movies, and we'll watch stuff together. So it's we've really, God, it's so sad. People not growing up with that social experience of movies.
I know,
Because
man.
I don't think people realize. I don't remember if it was Sidney Lumet or who was it, but like when you go to the movie theater, you're going into a cathedral and you're going into a social space where the rules of reality are different. You're entering what sociologists sometimes call the magic circle, you know? And I think a lot of people don't recognize that. They think you're just seeing a bigger screen. But it's more than that.
Yeah. Yeah. It
It's
is
more.
way more than that. It's a whole ass
And it's
experience.
about reckoning with the art. instead of having it passively wash over you.
That's why I wish I could have met Parker just a little bit earlier so she could have experienced seeing Endgame with all the friends and my family, like in the theater, opening night, everyone going apeshit and cheering. You can say what you want about the MCU, but to me, that's why I go to the fucking movies, is to have that one of a kind, beautiful experience, fun as fuck. That's why
And that's the thing. That's why I didn't like Space Jam as much, because I didn't experience it the way it was meant to be experienced.
That's fine.
And people forget that.
That's why I'm trying to get her caught up before Spider-Man 3 and Multiverse of Madness, because those are going to be ape shit.
We'll see. We'll see how many.
I like my popcorn. I like my popcorn entertainment, and the MCU does what it needs to do. Honestly, it's done in a lot of ways Star Wars better than Star Wars has in the last few years. In some regards,
I think it absolutely has.
It's just like, so. It's a shame to me, but
I think Guardians of the Galaxy is better sci-fi than
exactly. So it scratches that itch for me. Anyway,
go to the movies if you're vaccinated.
Go to the movies, guys. I will be.
Hey, if you're not vaccinated, then I don't know.
Go fuck yourself, piece of shit.
Anyway, and you're not listening to this podcast.
We've got more summer shit coming out soon, and then also going to see the Green Knight and a few other movies. So look forward to that stuff, because I'm hungry and I'm tired.
All right. Thanks for listening,
guys. For watching, guys.